Some I held, some slipped away. One street over where my memories exist. I wondered what would change, I really couldn't say. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I have today. Times gone by, I've traded like dirt into clay. I thought my memories would end. One street over's now 1,000 miles away. When I close my eyes, I'm back to where I've been. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing, I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known that would have kept me from the one I had today. I took a walk one street over from my home. Cracked and broken asphalt everywhere. I could have ended up just
One street over from where you live in. Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house, our director of schools. Good morning. I know you just love getting up early and coming in here.
I'd prefer doing this show at 10 o'clock at
Yeah,
night.
I know. Everybody, when I invite people to come on the show, they're like, "That's early, LaVern." I've just been doing it my whole life, really,
yeah.
and so I've always done morning radio. And so you just honestly and truthfully, while we were off last week,
Mhm.
I don't have any structure because I took the week off. From radio even, just because I think I mean, I'll be 62 in December. I need to start, taking a few days off. But I'm not good when I'm off from work. I'm one of these people, I need that structure, because I'm way more productive. And so, I mean, y'all not going to get rid of me until I just can't physically do it anymore because I need something. Going.
And speaking of that, I'm actually okay this morning. I spent most of my break on Eastern time. So,
Yeah. Oh,
so
wow.
Now, getting up on Eastern time is kind of like normal here. So
Okay.
I've not had that slow transition back to work and
I gotcha.
normal mornings and structure again.
Why Eastern time? Do you have family that
Just
a vacation?
had
Good
an
for you.
opportunity vacation, and like you said, get
Good.
away for a day or
Yeah.
two, and did some fun things. So yeah,
We need to.
Right.
We really need to. And I don't know. I'm one of those people. I have to really make myself. My kids are like, you need to take some vacations, Mom and Dad. And we're like, we really like where we live. We'd be more content just sitting out in our yard and
Right.
just watching the deer and the dogs,
Right.
and our grandkids. We would love to have them at the house more. I'm just saying. But I've got a family day coming up, and we try to very intentionally have family day, and that helps us kind of stay grounded, and so that helps a lot. A couple of updates before we get on into it. I think I've got everything running right here. But if you've been praying for Miss Janie up at she's a Good Pastor senior. My kids are Good Pastor alums, and this sweet girl, she was a senior. She is a senior, Janie Grace, and she was running at Moss Wright Park. She's a cross-country runner, and she's also on cheer squad. She collapsed, and she's been just, I mean, everybody's just, hearts just so, overwhelmingly concerned, and she's doing better. And just like in the last, couple of hours and stuff. So just keep praying. I mean, just bang on the doors of heaven for this little sweet girl, Janie Grace. I do not know them, but I know everybody at Good Pastor. So they're just, everybody's just, I mean, when athletes that happens, sometimes they don't know they've got something going on, maybe heart affected or
Right.
who knows what really this was. We don't really know what happened when she collapsed, but just keep praying for little sweet Janie Grace. She's better today, it seems. So the report's a little bit better. Just want to continue to say, lift that up to you, and keep her in your prayers, guys. And what's going on today? Y'all had the big meeting last night, board of directors, the school board meeting, and
Right.
all those things. And
Yeah.
anything?
It was an exciting day. We were talking about break, and again, I think it's important that you mentioned the breaks that you got. Some of my office was able to take off some time,
Right.
but the students also need that break.
Mhm.
And when I'm out in public, a lot of people say, "Well, I don't understand why you get so many breaks." And the state law is we go to school 180 days.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line. It's 180 days, but we get together. We have a group of teachers, group of administrators, and we approve those 180 days of school. So, some people would say, "Well, I'd rather start on this date and finish on this and go straight through." But those of us that are in it, I think we all understand the
Yes.
importance of taking those breaks for ourselves, mentally and
Mhm.
physically. And so to get away and to do those things and have some breaks for not just us as staff, but our students need those breaks too. And I think our staff, as we came back yesterday, we talked about the importance of taking breaks and how breaks actually refresh us and then
Mhm.
allow us
Oh, yeah.
to come back stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that's physical fitness is the same thing. You work out and then you take some time off and then you build those muscles back up and you continue to grow. So yesterday was our first day back from those breaks, and it was a great school day coming back. And then the board met last night, and it was a wonderful time too. There were so many. We have a theme each month that we kind of go through, and last night our theme was recognizing those teachers who had the highest test scores from their students from the previous year.
Okay.
So we started with the elementary TCAPs 3rd through 8th grade, so 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. The TCAPs in each subject, so math, English, social studies, and science. And so each teacher that had the highest percentage of students in their class, proficient or advanced in their class, or meeting expectations or exceeding those expectations, they were brought and they were given recognition by the board for doing that. And then our high school teachers in our TCAP subject tests, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, English 1, English 2, Biology, and U.S. History. And so to bring those teachers in and, I can imagine going on break and then coming back and being recognized by the board for having the highest number of students in your class. And, the nice thing, too, for me to see as a director was it wasn't concentrated in one school. It was spread out throughout the county.
That's
And
right.
so, one school that might do really well in math in 3rd grade, then the 4th grade math teacher that had the highest percentage would be at another school in another community. So that was really nice to do. And we took, I'm going to say the majority of the time for the board meeting. It was a rather short board meeting. Some of the meetings when we don't have a lot of policy to study and a lot of changes to make and things like that are spent basically reviewing HR reports. So who's coming, who's going, who's on leave, and different things like that. So they look at the work of the HR department. We're always going over and reviewing financial reports, and we'll talk about that a little bit in depth if you'd like to. But just the finances and the HR reports and the director's reports. Those are the business items that are consistent from month to month. No new policies introduced or approved last night. So again, those things are just mainly start of school, kind of end of school type things. So recognitions really took a lot of the time last night. We talked about recognizing all of those teachers. We also recognize the employees of the quarter. And that's a new program we started, and we have an employee of the quarter from the school nutrition department.
Awesome.
We have an employee of the quarter from school support personnel. So these are people who are not licensed teachers. So it could be a secretary or a bookkeeper or
Would that be the like the folks that are cleaning the buildings and things like that too?
could be
or is-
that. It
okay.
could be a teacher assistant. Last night it was a young lady who has been running our aftercare program at Greenbrier
Awesome.
Elementary School. So she's done that program for a long time, and it was funny. There were several of my staff last night that said they were in her aftercare program when they were in school several
Oh, how
years ago.
funny.
So,
Wow, that has
she's
been a
done
minute.
that.
Yeah.
She's really dedicated to that program and getting it started. And managing all aspects of
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of students that stay after school,
Mm-hmm.
and to do that. We also recognize an employee of the quarter in our transportation department. So someone who's doing an outstanding job, and there was a young lady that was recognized last night for she drives a special education bus and serves the Springfield and Coopertown communities.
Okay.
And so she was recognized for her dedication to her position and flexibility. And I think while we're short on some drivers, I think she's been doing some double routes and things like that. So,
Mm-hmm.
driving a special education route and then coming back and driving a regular route when needed as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, the supervisors of those departments help solicit nominations. So, Mr. Heinerman from Transportation, Miss Patsy Gregory from School Nutrition, they help gather the nominations for their departments. And then we allow principals or other district staff to nominate a support person of the year. So, had an opportunity to recognize those. So again, that's nice, and they're given a nice award for the work that they do. And then finally, our other recognition, and I'm really proud to announce this. I've known it since early summer, and so just now being able to make that announcement official. But we had a regional winner of the Volunteer of the Year award,
Awesome.
and the winner was Miss Hannah Davis. She's from the Cross Plains community and serves. She really, I think, kind of spearheads and works at the East Robertson Elementary School's
Mm-hmm.
PTO. But Hannah's a community member, and I met her, I guess, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Last year, we asked principals to nominate anyone who had been in the school system and just really making a difference as a parent or a volunteer coming in. And we had several, and Miss Davis was recognized by our board at that time as the nominee we wanted to submit to the Tennessee School Board Association. And so the Tennessee School Board Association represents every school district in the state of Tennessee, and Miss Davis was recognized out of the Mid-Cumberland area, which is the 16 counties surrounding Metro Nashville. So when you think the Volunteer of the Year for the 16 metro areas
Yeah.
right around Nashville was right here from East Robertson.
That's awesome.
And so, you know, I think it's important to say it's not just the work of one person, and Hannah and I had that discussion too. It's the work of all people that come in and volunteer and do those things. Whether you have 1 hour to do it, just I've got some spare time today. Can I come in and make some copies for you? Can I come in and cut out something? Can I come in and help you do a bulletin board?
Mm-hmm.
Or in Hannah's case, can I come in and manage the PTO, serve as an officer, help do fundraising, help do events and things at school? So, I think it helps us remind ourselves that volunteering and being a part of something outside of ourselves is important.
Mm-hmm.
It's looking in and saying, what can I do? And I know many of our teachers are volunteers in the community and do so many things. They coach Little League baseball, Little League football. They coach cheerleaders and do those things. And we as teachers volunteer a lot of times at our churches and a lot of times at other community events and activities and things like that. So I think that reinforces to us the importance of being good stewards of our time and how we can use our time to serve others. And I know Hannah and her family are very busy, and but to be recognized mid-statewide for the work that she's done. But I think that also reminds us to look for opportunities to volunteer. And I know I'm maybe talking a little broader than schools too, but
Right.
I mean for a community that might be listening this morning, finding ways to just stop by a school on a day that you might have off or some spare time, and what could you do to volunteer, or just in general, that looking beyond ourselves to find something to do.
And this is the time of the year too. There's so much going on. I mean, we have
Sure.
trunk or treats coming
Mhm.
up. We have, and almost all the schools have something. It seems like you've got Veterans Day programs coming up.
Mhm.
There's just a lot of things that are going to
Right.
be as we approach the holidays. Just so much that needs to be done. And if you can, volunteer in some way, I'd love have you come help us with our trunk or treat. Maybe donate some candy, because we've got to have all that. But
Right.
there's just so many things going on. And
Sure.
that's when you talk about the breaks. We were talking earlier about why do you get so many breaks? When you're in the teaching community and you understand how daunting it is. I really, when we're in school, I feel like there's something I need to be doing all the time.
Right.
Between something I need to do for tweaking a piece of curriculum, something where the kids have done the news, and I've got to work on the edits for them. Things like just all there's something all the time.
Yeah.
And you just and if you go to the extracurricular stuff, and I haven't been able to, because of my knee replacement stuff this year, and I have really missed being able to go and get on the field with them and those types of things, because that builds relationships
It does.
with these kids that you can't replace. And most teachers are involved in some ways. There's some that maybe don't get involved with extracurricular stuff, but the ones that do, and if you're coaching, and they don't make a lot of money. My husband did some coaching. They don't do that because it's extra money.
Right.
They do it because they love the kids, and that's why they do it. So when you're a teacher, and if you're really doing it the way you're supposed to do it, there's something all the time.
And
There's something all the time.
when you're talking about coaches, and I
Yeah.
think particularly during our fall breaks and things like that, you don't get a break from
No.
being a head football coach. Or
Uh-uh.
I had an opportunity to spend some time in East Tennessee. We had two golfers that were in the state tournament. So
Oh, wow.
obviously their coaches were there with them,
Mhm.
and so I got a chance to see them. Our volleyball teams are in the middle of tournaments. Our soccer teams are in the middle of tournaments, and so again, they're we don't get those schedules are set by TSSAA for us, and
Right.
so they don't care when our breaks are in Robertson County.
No.
So
Mhm.
we go on to those tournaments and get to see those, and so I know a lot of our teams were playing last week while we were on break
Oh, yeah.
and things like that. And you mentioned that it's because they love what they do,
Mhm.
and we were talking earlier about the importance of recognizing individuals, and during our August meeting is when we recognize coaches for the excellent work they do, and we always talk about it's more than coaching a sport. It's really helping develop young men and young ladies into the adults that we want them to become. And so part of those life lessons from athletics are learning how to be good citizens and get along with other people and deal with adversity and things like that. So those are important jobs for coaches too, and I applaud them for taking their breaks to do that. But you mentioned being out and involved in the activities, and that's one of the toughest parts of my jobs when
I
we
can't
have,
imagine trying
having
to keep up with it.
6 high schools
Oh,
and 2 middle
yeah.
schools, and our all 5 middle school programs have athletic events.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so trying to catch those, I really try to stay in county. So when 2 of our county schools play each other, those are the ones I try to hit more so than traveling a lot with
Right.
them. But when I can go see IA play Heritage in a ball game, or
Right.
play Greenbrier and see Coopertown or things like that.
Mhm.
Those are things that I really try to get out and do. And again, it's a lot of times it's 4, sometimes even 5 nights a week.
I'm
And
sure.
it's tough. Yeah.
I'm sure it is. And, it's so funny because I also want to kind of give a nod to our band directors, because I'm Justin Martin. I mean, our band at Greenbrier, if you haven't heard, they're just knocking it out of the park. They have just been first place everything. They're doing so great. And they work all summer.
Yeah.
They don't take any time off. They work all the time. And I told him the other day, I said, man, you just really have, you're one of the hardest working people I know. And I can't imagine, I call it herding cats with the band. I can't imagine trying to coordinate those kids to do what they do. And I'm just so impressed with it,
Yeah.
and they have just done fabulous. But the band directors and the ones that run these, like our FBLA,
Yes.
I think they take their spring break and go to competition.
Right.
And I know DECA is really, but there's several clubs that we were on, I think it was FBLA last year, and they were gone the whole spring break
Right.
at an event. I'm like, God bless y'all. That's a lot, and I mean, you just don't realize what a lot of them are doing, and it is a lot. So just, love on your teachers, y'all.
It is, and
Yeah.
I thought yesterday morning I had an opportunity to visit with Coopertown Elementary School. They had a program yesterday morning where I'll go ahead and kind of highlight that. We did talk about that at the board meeting too. But Coopertown Elementary School earned an award from Dr. Ben Carson. And
Oh, wow.
so he talked about,
Love him.
we saw a video that
I
he had
love him.
produced about the importance of, he said school was not easy for him. And he said his mom was tired of him making excuses and playing that victim,
Yeah.
and said that she started requiring him to turn the television off and start reading.
Yeah.
And so he developed a love for reading in his life. And so what he's done is he set up these scholarships to set book rooms or reading rooms for our schools. and not all, but you can make application to do so. And I think there are like 11 in Tennessee.
Awesome.
And so Coopertown was the recipient of one of those reading rooms, and so
Awesome.
they're able to take a room, completely design it, and the students had a part of that. The community had a great part of that in building that room. It's really a nice room, and it's kind of an aside to the library where there's just some free reading. There's all kinds of seating that I'm sure kids would love
Oh, yeah.
to get in
Comfy.
and enjoy comfortable
Yeah,
seating and
yeah.
things like that. But you're talking about the work of our teachers. The fourth graders, all fourth graders at Coopertown Elementary School, came in and did a marvelous job of singing a song they had prepared. And I was thinking about how much work just went into teaching
of
that
course.
song, and then it was so they've not been in school for an entire week. So to come back and perform that in front of the public, probably with maybe one or two opportunities to practice yesterday morning before everybody got there, and they did such a wonderful job, and their faces were so exciting, and it talked about. It talked about their dreams and encouraging people to dream big, which is again one of Dr. Carson's themes: thinking big and dreaming big, and talking about how those books can carry us and help us imagine and help us dream about those things that we may not have an opportunity to do. But he talked about learning travel and learning different parts of the world, learning about different people, and he had a particular interest in animals, and he named all the animals he said he'd never seen, but he'd read about them and understood the things. And so his love for reading inspired that to go on and make these reading rooms available through application. So Coopertown had a wonderful program. Miss Champion is the instructional coach out there. Miss Tiffany Hyde and Miss Christy Vertree is the administrators. But they kind of spearheaded, getting all the materials for this room, drawing the students in and helping them design the room and what they wanted it to look like. And then, talking to community members, I saw so many community members yesterday that, had a part, putting new flooring in a room and putting some special lighting in there and finding the special seating. So it was a wonderful morning, and, another great way to get back, and, something that often goes unnoticed and not mentioned. And so, I just wanted to thank you again for, particularly in hosting our principals as they come in. I think you have one or two a month, and so they come in and talk about the things that are going on in their school. And, I guess if you don't come in until May or June, you may never hear that story until later. Or if you came in August, if a principal came in August, they wouldn't hear, that it's already passed, so they may not know about those stories. So again, it's great to highlight those for our board, but it's great to highlight those, and we thank you for what you do on those things.
Oh, my
So,
pleasure.
yeah.
My pleasure. And we appreciate Jim Bellis for setting all that up, because I've really enjoyed talking to being in the school system now, and the things that I don't know. It's helped me tremendously. I talk about all the things I've learned since I've started doing this show. It's been breathtaking, because I'm one of those, we're talking about my kids went to Good Pasture. I'm a member of the Madison Church of Christ since 1989. My life has been in Nashville. I'm one of those we're a commuter family, and never really thought about it. And how we were just not plugged into our community at all, because everything was especially the Madison area for us, because that was our church family and our school family. And I love Bill Jones. He says, I didn't know what I didn't know. Right. And that's what I have learned so much, but getting to know the principles and understanding the different, what school matches, which acronym has been nice, because we see all these little acronyms and things, but it's been just wonderful to get to know, and just delightful. All the principals I've talked to have been just wonderful. And it's been just very interesting across the board to do that. So I'm really thankful to do that. I'm going to have to take a break, but a couple of things we're talking about recognizing. We had one of our students last week while we were on break, and so I kind of hate it because I don't think a lot of people saw it, but Aiden Raymer was the musician of the month for WKRN, and if you missed that, go watch it. That young man can just go crazy on a guitar, and it's just fascinating to me. He goes up here to Mr. Perry's music, and and Perry and they have Perry and Katie, they have advertised here, so y'all are familiar with them, but just really proud of that young man. And that you can find that. I think I shared it. We've got it on Greenbrier's social media page. Go and check that out. But also, when they came in and filmed that with KRN, they also filmed Miss Madding, because she was the educator of the week, and now she's up for educator of the month. So we want to encourage you to go vote for our Miss Madden because she's wonderful. And I'll figure out a way to share the links and comments and those types of things. But be sure and go vote for our Miss Madden. She is up for Educator of the Month now, and we would love for her to win that. That would be fabulous. So I just wanted to throw out a couple of recognitions of our own there. But let's pause for a second. We're talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. He's our director of schools, and just talking about the school board meeting last night and the things that went on. Just recapping that for us. But we do need to pause and talk about Veterans Motorplex. This is another place. It's just a great friend of the schools. Jerry's always doing things that are, related to the schools and about the kids out. They do things out on the track with the seniors. But this is Veterans Motorplex at the Rim. The season is about to end, guys. If you've not been to the races, now is really my favorite time to go because it's cooler and it's just nice and it's just wonderful. I love the races. It is an absolute blast. They've got a big race plan for this weekend. Revving up for racing, 30-lap pure stock, 20-lap big dogs. I don't know what all this means, but I just know I really get a kick watching them going flying around that track. It is a trip. I had no idea how much fun it was until I started going. Don't miss your chance because at the end of October, it finishes. There's always a chance they might have one weekend in November because sometimes they'll do that if the weather permits because they missed part of their season. They were doing some renovation out there at the first of the season. So, they might try to make some stuff up, but only guaranteed racing through the end of October. They'll do something for Trick or Treat. I've reached out to Charlie and them to see if I can find out something about the specifics. They usually do a trunk or treat from race cars, which is a lot of fun. So they'll do something. The best way to find out all the things going on over at Veterans Motorplex is to follow them at Highland Rim Speedway. They kept the old Facebook, the old presence there on social media because it's a historic racetrack, Highland Rim Speedway. But follow them there. That way you know everything's going on. If there's any rain delays, anything like that, when they're going to do their trunk or treat from race cars, they'll let you know there. But it's at Veterans Motorplex at the Rim. Check them out. 6801 Kelly Willis Road in Greenbrier. You can give Jerry a call, 615-430-3135, 615-430-3135. Always please let them know that Dr. Danny Weeks is in the house. They had their meeting last night. A lot of recognitions and things going on as we're getting back from fall break. What else did you guys talk about last night?
Well, that was the essence of the meeting. It was the recognitions. It was a very short meeting. I talked about our HR report, so they always review the work of the HR department and see. We have some teachers come and go during the year, and people taking leaves and doing things of that nature. So we do that, and we also, they mentioned, and we had some conversation about the needs for next year and places that we already know there are going to be some openings, and so. Talking about the work of HR and how they get out and start recruiting, going to college fairs and things. And, it's hard to think about college graduates in the middle of the year, but they'll be out doing those and looking for those. But I did mention our financial reports. And again, one of the things that we talked about last night a little bit at the board meeting was sales tax revenues look like they're a little bit down for us for the previous month and everything. So, the majority of the revenues coming to school systems, local revenues, are from property tax and from sales tax. And so sales tax is a little down from where it was last year and where we budgeted. So, that we hope that's an anomaly. We hope there's just something that was unique to the previous month and not bringing in the revenues that we were expected to get. But, we always want to talk and we always want to remind our community that when we work and buy locally and we support local businesses, and you mentioned several there that are advertising here, but when we eat with our families and we shop and do our grocery shopping, and even in the last 5 or 6 years, the state laws have changed. So even when we buy online products,
right.
And I'm trying to do more of that. I'm not as much of I do like to still go shopping and do things like that. But when we have deliveries sent to our addresses, making sure those are sent to our Robertson County addresses, so that those income tax. I'm sorry, not income tax. I said that a couple of times. Those sales tax revenues come with the place it's delivered. So when we have it delivered to our homes here in Robertson County, those revenues come with that. And so, I know the Chamber of Commerce helps us promote those. Buy local, support locals, live local, support local. And again, we just want to remind people how important it is to do that and to support the economy here in Robertson County. And just looking at the economy, I think, there, you know, all kinds of conversation about is it good, is it bad, but the school revenue is heavily dependent upon local sales taxes that are collected
Mhm.
here in Robertson County. So when we buy our gas, when we buy our groceries, when we do our shopping that we do, when we go eat out, whether it's sit down or whether it's fast food, whatever it happens to be,
Mhm.
those things are important. So um, our board is good and faithful about monitoring those revenues and the expenses, month after month after month. And um, I think as any business owner knows, it's about 80% of your budget is tied in salaries and benefits of the employees. But that other roughly 20%, we need to manage and control well. So if we see throughout the year that revenues aren't coming in, we'll start trimming back on things that are a little bit more inflexible as we make those decisions and monitor our budgets. And so
Mhm.
that's Ms. Kleinert in our business office and her staff are really good about generating those reports. We work hand in hand with Ms. Jody Stewart, our county finance director, and the department up there that they help us with all the reports. They help us with all that, but sending them back and analyzing and applying that and managing the budget. It's not that we just we have to be good stewards of the dollars that are here. And when revenues don't come in, we have to make adjustments to those. And
Mhm.
so again, um, seeing where we can do that. So we hope that's just a first month of school
Right.
problem, and
Right.
that it's nothing that's going to be ongoing. And but the sales tax holiday may have had a little something to do with some of the revenues being down and things like that. But we're going to
Oh, yeah.
continue to
Yeah,
monitor
for
that.
sure.
So
I hadn't even thought about that. I'm gonna get you to move that microphone a little bit closer
yeah,
to you if you
sorry,
don't mind.
sure,
But I hadn't even thought about the sales tax holiday
hmm
and how that really could affect that.
yeah.
That's a good point.
And
And
those are good things for our
yeah,
families,
of
and those are
course.
good things for
Yeah.
us. But I enjoy shopping and enjoy
Yeah.
taking that little break on those things and the
Uh-huh.
grocery sales tax relief days that we've had and things. But it is a hit to our school budget.
Yeah, for sure. I hadn't even thought about
Yeah,
that. I hadn't even thought, and you're just talking about buying local. Jordan Osborne, just get around her, and
right.
I mean, she will. And we got to, our I forget what award our chamber got, but it's a huge award. They have just we've got an
hmm
amazing chamber of commerce, but oh my goodness, you don't want to get Jordan started on buy local, and
Right.
don't you dare buy your gas out across the county line. Oh, she'll get on you now. She'll get on you quick. And but she's right. I mean, it does matter.
It does
And in
matter.
our school systems, I mean that's one of the things. So many of us that have been commuter families, we just didn't think about it.
hmm
And I'm much more intentional
Yeah.
about what I do and
Right.
trying to do as much as I possibly can local. And I don't do hardly anything outside of the county anymore.
hmm
I mean, sometimes you're in, but most everything I do. I mean, we don't have a Sam's here, and I do still like Sam's and different things like that. So, um, but I don't know. They have a delivery for Sam's now. I hadn't even thought about
Yeah.
that. I wonder if I do delivery on Sam's and they deliver it to my house. I wonder if
The,
I get I bet I do.
the sales tax revenue where it's
Oh,
delivered, and
I hadn't even thought about
and so
that.
even to the specific community. So some of
Yeah.
our communities contribute
Okay.
more to the sales tax base than others, and so
Okay.
it's to our home addresses. It's
Yeah.
coded that way.
Because I hadn't even thought about that. I love this delivery stuff. I really do. Because I don't like shopping. I do not like shopping. But I hadn't even thought about that
Right.
because I've started using delivery with Sam's.
hmm
And if they're doing that, then they're bringing it to my address. So we'd be getting this. That's
hmm
awesome.
hmm
I hadn't even thought about that. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's just something to really think about when you're out there shopping. I mean, if you want extra stuff for the schools, and it makes a big difference. So when you talk about having to make cuts, though, what kind of things do you? I can't even imagine trying to deal with something as large as the school system, and you're starting to look at that. The kind of things that you have to cut back on. Do you?
Well,
I'm just curious. And
we always start looking at things that, and I hate to say because it's just a rule. Sometimes maintenance
oh
projects
yeah,
get cut
that
out.
maybe you can wait on.
That we can wait. We
Okay,
have to do that. We have to
sure.
put those off. We try to monitor what we're doing
Okay,
and like copying and copy paper
sure.
and stuff like that. And so
Okay, that makes sense.
trimming
Yeah,
back on some things that are
yeah,
controllable costs.
yeah.
Again, I said. Again, about 80% of the budget is tied up in salary, so
Yeah.
you can't cut
Can't
positions,
mess
and
with
we can't
that.
do that. But we monitor electricity, water,
Yeah.
and all of our utility programs, and so there are ways that we can trim and control the heating and air conditioning,
Sure.
overnight and on weekends and different things like that. We got to be careful with those things, but just being cognizant of what we do in those flexible, controllable categories.
Well, it's so funny. I appreciate because I'm one of these. I will pop into the school in weird hours, and I mean, I may be there on the weekend,
Right.
and in the summer it's hot because the air's turned off. But I
Yeah.
appreciate that
Yeah.
because it's not being wasted. Same thing
Right.
in the winter. It might be a little cold in my room, but I'm in there during off hours, so
Exactly.
I know you guys are paying attention to that, and you're turning those things off. And it's so funny. My husband and I this morning we had a conversation. He's wanting to. We have this big Great Dane dog that has just destroyed our screen doors, and he's like, "We need to replace those doors." I'm like, "Not right now."
Yeah.
And so that's the kind of things you do. It's
Those
like,
are things,
okay,
right.
that can wait. Let's
Right.
not fix that. Let's repair, not replace right now. So
Right.
I get that. Okay, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. We're talking with Dr. Danny Weeks. He is our director of schools. And how are you settling in? Because I mean, you're just about to approach your 1 year anniversary.
Almost 1 year.
I know.
When you were talking about meeting the different principals from
Yeah.
from teaching in one building, I know you kind of get another perspective when you go home. Your husband working in another
Yeah,
building,
he's at Springfield.
so you do get
rivals.
the two communities
Yeah.
there. But I was thinking back through my career, and I think that was one of the best things that happened to me was changing
Yeah.
schools, going from one school to another school, and um, I was teaching math at Greenbrier High School,
Uh-huh.
and got a call about 2 weeks before school started, and was offered an assistant principal's position at East Robertson. And so, I didn't really know a lot about the East Robertson community, didn't know, about that. And so
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to, as you said, to take what you had and you go see how another school is operated, how another community thinks, and doing that. So that was a great opportunity. Went from East Robertson to White House and served as an administrator there, then came back and served in the Springfield community. Excuse me. So I think growing is a part of exploring and learning how other people do things. And so when I had the opportunity in 2012 to go to Dixon, again, I think that was an opportunity to carry
Yeah.
knowledge and skills that I had here, but also to mesh those with things I had learned there. So you mentioned coming back. It has December 1st will be 1 year back
Yeah.
in Robertson County. I'm so excited just to be home.
Yeah,
And
I'm sure you
it's,
are.
It's rewarding to
Yeah.
do that and to be able to serve and to minister to our own community and to be a part of that community and not have to think about having dual residences and
Oh, I
all
know.
that stuff. So
I did that for 2 years working
Yeah.
in Dallas, and oh my goodness, had we had an apartment there and back and forth on the weekend. I can't imagine doing it for as
Yeah.
long as you did. That was exhausting.
Well, it has been very positive and to come
Yeah.
back. And so you mentioned the principals and our staff. It's first week or two. You're learning names and you're learning faces, and after you're gone 12 years from somewhere,
Yeah.
you're learning. I remember people that we had just hired as maybe teachers, and now they're serving in leadership roles in different places like that. So that's been very positive to see. Also, one of the things that I've really enjoyed is I think and I think most people know I do teach some graduate classes for Union University and to have principals or teachers that want to be principals. And so looking around our county, there are several people who have been through graduate programs at Union. And so I've had the opportunity to teach them. And so they're serving in leadership roles now. And so, seeing and reattaching to them and working together and, having that familiarity. But, it's just like yesterday. I was visiting. I mentioned visiting at Coopertown and ran across a student that I taught when she was in high school, and we talked about. I was an algebra teacher and teaching math and things like that, and I realized math is not everyone's favorite subject. And
I can't
realized
even
that.
imagine. I was good at math, but I wasn't interested in it,
Yeah,
and so I can't
And we
imagine. God bless you.
Probably reuse it
Yeah.
all the time now,
Yeah.
and that's
Yeah.
but just to see faces like that and to recount stories of things you remember from school, and you talk about the events that you're out and seeing them, and just being back and having those acquaintances and being a part of the community again, and just feeling like you're not trying to live that dual residency
Yeah.
back and forth.
That's difficult. Like I said, when you told me how long you were doing that, I was like, oh my goodness, I can't even imagine. And I love that you have that association with the different schools. Something I learned about Dr. Osborne is she had been at several different schools,
Yes.
and I never knew that. So it's been such a delight just to sit down and talk to these principals because I'm learning so many different things. And I didn't realize she had all these different exposures around the different schools and things. And like you said, it is very interesting just to sit down with my husband, and he has the dynamic coming from Springfield, and I'm at Good Pasture, or good at Greenbrier. I'm sorry, I've got Good Pasture on my mind because of little Janie. But just getting the difference in the different dynamics and how we
Right.
do things, and the principals have they direct the school in the way they see fit, and so
Right.
some do it different, and so it's very interesting to see the different nuances of that. So
And that's one of the things that I've really brought back and tried to instill in our staff. I'm excited for things going great at East Robertson and Joe Burns and IA and Greenbrier, Springfield, Coopertown. I want all of our communities to have their individuality,
right,
and the principals know about those communities, and the values are reflected individually from the community. But I think it's our job too in our office to make sure we reduce the variability in the quality of education that students are receiving. It the quality of education shouldn't depend on do I live in Joe Burns,
right,
versus do I live in Greenbrier. The person, what they're learning in English one there, what they're learning in algebra and chemistry and all those things needs to be the same so that they can take those skills and go to the next level, whatever it is they want to do. Whether they're going to work, whether they're going to military, whether they're going to college, whether they're going to a TCAT or something like that. We want the students to come out equipped with those same skills. And so, yes, we want our schools to have that individual personality that's reflective of the community that they serve. But the quality of education, what a third grader learns at Chrysler Elementary School this morning needs to be the same thing that a third grader learns at Coopertown Elementary this
right.
morning. And so, we're not trying to cookie cut that. The teachers have the autonomy in how they present the material, but what they present, needs to be the same thing, school to school to school. And that's one of the things that we talk to my leadership team about as they visit schools, as we develop plans for the schools and different things like that. We want to make sure that quality education is delivered no matter what your zip code is.
Right, for sure. And too, when it comes to the ELC testing, you've got to
Right.
be ready for it no matter what school you're in. You need to be. I remember Muriel Barnett, she's retired now, but I mean, she would get stressed if she didn't. She was like, these kids are getting ready to have this test, and we haven't had time to go through this, and we
Right.
got to get this done. And I mean, dedicated teacher. And I would just, watching her, it's like, well, we've got testing. We've got to get through this because it's going to be on their
Right.
test, and just, making sure that
Sure.
all of it's covered.
And I think I think that responsibility also falls on our office, because some people might say, well, we don't need to know that in Robertson County, or that's not important. But, just quite the opposite. Our students, again, when they graduate, they're going to be going out competing for jobs,
Yeah.
all across, and I hate to say just not in the national area now, the marketing for where our students are going
All over.
is global,
Yes,
so
it is.
so they need to come out with the same education. Of course, we want to say a better education, but they need to come out with the same skills and abilities and gifts that someone who graduates from Metro, or someone who graduates from Williamson County, someone who graduates from, Knox County. We want to make sure our students have the same abilities and the same capabilities to do that. And if we expect less of them, shame on us.
Yeah.
We need to have those high expectations for what kids enter school in, and then how they exit our schools. And so that is really probably what I see as the most important part of my job, is making sure that when students graduate from Robertson County schools, that they understand that education needs to be able to carry you, to be successful in what you want to do, but to know that you're competing for other people for those, whatever it is, scholarship dollars, or that
Right.
same position out in the business world, or the same position, entering TCATs, or even in the military. Whatever they're doing, they've got to be competitive enough to be able to do those things.
Well, and it's so funny because that's what I love about being a CTE teacher, is because I tell the students, I say, our job is CTE. I mean, we're to teach you our field of study, but also to remind you what it's going to be like when you go to get hired.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm always getting on my students. They'll say something. I'm like, if you said that and I'm your employee, I probably would fire you. I just reality stuff and making sure they understand that you need to be ready to enter the workforce.
Right.
You need to be ready to enter college. You need to be ready to do the thing that's next, because next will get here quicker than you think. I'm in my third year, just started my third year, and I've got seniors
Mm-hmm.
that I had their sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have watched these young people turn from little kids to adults
Right.
just right before my eyes, just like that. And for them, it's taken forever. But for me, it's been just a blink. And I'm just, it's been such a blessing to watch that. But my goodness, just making sure these kids, like you said, are prepared for what's
they
on the
do,
horizon.
they do a wonderful job. Like you mentioned the newscast, for instance.
I love that,
they do a
yeah.
wonderful
Yeah.
job of producing that and getting that out. But someone who says this is really the job I want to do,
Hmm.
there are not just news jobs all over.
Yeah.
For every class that you have,
Hmm.
our neighboring counties have that same program, and so
Yep.
they're going to be out competing for a seat in a college class or a TCAT
Hmm.
to learn and refine those skills. And then if somebody's looking to go straight into that workforce, I
Right.
mean, that's very competitive. I'm sure more than I would know.
Well, very much so. And in engineering, I've got Coach White next door to me and the different things. And I love that there are some trade schools and things like that available for,
Mhm.
I mean, I know his son is at TCAT, I think.
I think so.
I think so. But all the different things. There's just so many options for kids now. It's just changing constantly. I was having a conversation. We had this. They re-imaged my computers and my iPads and everything over the fall break, and so we have this new teleprompter on my iPads now that follows you.
Hmm.
And I told the kids, I said, "You understand? When I was in television 10 years ago, a producer followed me on a teleprompter.
Mhm.
Now your voice does it." And that's the coolest thing ever. I said, this technology is just changing like this,
Mhm.
and we have to stay up to date with it. But I know I'm probably getting off subject here, but just all the things that come to my mind. We've got about 10 minutes to visit with Dr. Danny Weeks. I've got a couple of questions for you. I mentioned to you before we started. I want to
Right.
ask you about the ACT stuff. And also, too, something that I learned whenever I had the principals in here, it's Watauga. They have a daycare. Do we
Yes.
have that in more than one school? That's just fascinating me. I didn't know they had that available at all.
Let's talk
It's-
about that. Yeah,
Okay, let's-
and then
yeah.
we'll hit the ACT too. Um, Several years ago, we started looking at we've always talked about retention and
Yeah.
teachers and how we get
Mhm.
staff in, and so the idea that Miss Armstrong and her staff came up with is, so many teachers were coming back after having a baby and thinking like, well, I need to stay home with my family a
Mhm.
couple of years, 2 or
Right.
3 years, and things. So Miss Armstrong presented us with that idea of, well, what if we had a daycare instead of down the road? What if it was here in the school building?
Yeah.
And
Blessing.
so, we developed that program out a little bit. And so actually, somebody who's taken off, they can bring their newborns there, and they're there at school. Certainly great care at school and well taken care of and things of that nature. And it keeps that mom or dad coming back to work and getting back to work earlier and things like that, and such a great benefit to them.
Mhm.
Similar cost or maybe a little cost savings of what they would pay, down the road at a daycare that, but seeing those colleagues that are taking care of children, I mean, you're a little more vested. You may feel a little more comfortable to bring your children there. So that program's been up and running, and again, that's specifically for those toddlers that are not even ready. They're
Sure.
still still growing and things. So we had that program at Watauga. This year, we've expanded that into the northern cluster of our schools. So we have one of those programs at Joe Burns Elementary
Awesome.
School. Just opened it this summer. There are a lot of state regulations in daycare.
I'm sure.
Just you can't
Oh,
imagine.
yeah.
So everything
Yeah.
from the space and how many square feet, and
Oh, yeah.
different things. And even our classrooms are tough enough, but
Mhm.
even worse for daycare. So
Mhm.
they're just getting the furniture in, getting that right, and finding the right staff for that. So
Yeah.
we're starting that in the northern cluster. So again, people in the Greenbrier, Watauga, White House areas can use the one in Watauga. People in the Springfield and the northern cluster of schools can use the one at Joe Burns.
Okay.
We do hope to expand that as we find more room and we find
Mhm.
families that are doing that. So, before we start a program, because there's some startup costs, and again we
Mhm.
talk about being
Budgets
flexible
and
in
things like
budgets and
that.
things,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
But getting that commitment from some young moms and dads that say, yes, I would rather bring my child here to school and have them cared for at school, rather than to go to somebody maybe they don't know, or maybe they don't have family around that can take care of children for them. So right now we have 2 of those programs, and again, that would be one of those things that our young teachers say that is certainly a reason to work in Robertson County and to be here and not have to miss work for 3 or 4 years or so as their children grow.
I think, in my education program that I'm doing for my teaching license for CTE and my Teach Now program that I'm doing in Rutherford County, it seems to me like we had a CTE teacher that was running a daycare as part of a CTE.
Mm-hmm.
And I hadn't even thought about that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that might even be a consideration.
Exactly.
Mr. Gregory, he might be able to help you out there. I don't know. There
Exactly.
might be some CTE money that could be
Right.
pulled into that.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I'm fairly sure that's what because I didn't get to know her. She was in a different group from me, but she was, running a daycare and teaching kids about childcare.
Right.
And it sounded like a wonderful program,
Yeah.
and that probably is what they were doing. Was a
Probably so.
daycare for the teachers, and I didn't really understand it all until we talked about the one up at Watauga. I think that's just wonderful, because that's hard, man. One of my grandchildren's in Jackson, and his mom, my daughter-in-law is a librarian at a school there, and they have a daycare, and that's been so wonderful, and is being able to have Walt there with his mom, to where she's there if she's needed.
Right.
So that has been wonderful. Let me take my break, and then we're going to come back and wrap it up. We're talking with Dr. Danny Weeks, our director of schools. School board meeting last night. It was quick. There's a lot of recognition, things like that. So I do want to pose a question, because today's ACT day for the seniors. So I talked to him a little bit about this before we got on the air. So we're going to kind of address that here in just a moment. And then we had one question. I thought this was kind of interesting. What are the purpose and goals for Robertson County school system? I thought, okay, well, so maybe think about that.
Absolutely.
Purpose and goals for Robertson County school systems. And we're going to continue talking with Dr. Weeks here in just a moment, but we've got to talk about Barry Richards. Love the Barry and Rebecca Richards. Just congratulations to them. Their daughter's now a doctor. I think they're it's just amazing. They had a big celebration this weekend with her, and so I just got to kind of give a nod to that, because that's pretty impressive. But nonetheless, they're great friends of this program. Barry is one of these. I can call him. I've got to call him and ask him a question about something photography driven, because he's an expert at it. He was a media marketing vice president for 17 plus years in Nashville. He brings that expertise to the community, and he helps in so many ways. I mean, if you see video for Open Door Pregnancy, he did it. The chili cook-off, as a matter of fact, can't forget about that. The chili challenge for Open Door is Thursday night. Get your tickets, get there, go eat some chili, and support Open Door. Open Door Pregnancy and Resource Center. Again, the chili challenge is on Thursday night. But it just came to mind because whenever they do their gala, he does a big video presentation for them. He's just an expert at what he does with video, photography, walkthrough tours, drone footage. He was out helping my husband in the parking lot at Greenbrier over fall break learn to fly the new drones they have for the criminal justice program at Springfield. So he's just always volunteering in the community. Rebecca's the same thing. I don't have as much association with her because I'm all about audio video, and that's what Barry does. But Rebecca's one of the first in the area to be a seniors real estate specialist. They're always out in the community. If there's a community event, odds are they're going to have a table there. They're going to be talking to you, answering your questions no matter what you have. You think it might be a bizarre question about real estate, just bring it to them. That's something they mentioned to me one time, is they said, if you know somebody that's, gotten in a financial bind, maybe they're in foreclosure, said, tell them to talk to a realtor. And I thought, I never even thought about that they might be able to give them some options that they never thought about, and to keep them from getting a home foreclosed. And I mean, just things like that. It doesn't matter if you're buying or selling, whatever side of the table you're on. Barry is a broker. Rebecca is the agent that is up in White House. And they combine those two offices to continue to be part of the Exit tree, but a new branch in the tree for Exit Prime Realty. Exit Prime Realty, that's how you find them. You can go to sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, BUY, robertsoncounty.com, or you can call Rebecca at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. When you talk to them, congratulate them on their Dr. Girl. And also be sure to talk to Dr. Danny Weeks. They're taking the ACT today. And oh my goodness, the grumbling that I heard yesterday. I've already taken it. I'm not even going to college. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not coming. Like that's not you've got to have it. Number one, it's a requirement for graduation.
It is
They
a
take
requirement.
the ACT. So why is that? Let's start there.
Going to go back to the state of Tennessee requires
Okay.
that we
Oh,
give
really?
the ACT for all of our students.
So it's a state of Tennessee
And
requirement.
the state of
I didn't realize
Tennessee
that.
also provides the retake opportunity. So today is senior retake. The
Okay.
ACT is first, students as early as 6th or 7th grade, if they have those skills and abilities, can take pre-ACTs
Yeah.
or PSATs. But, if they start working on that and they're very focused academically, they can start taking ACT as early as they would like to. But in the state of Tennessee, the junior year is typically the year that students take that. And so
Right.
we have the ACTs that are given in our schools where the students come take the ACT test during the school day. So they're not having to take, back when I was in school, you had to go somewhere to take it and take a day or a weekend or something to do that. So state of Tennessee requires that we do that during the school year, and they do that. And then I think it's probably been 5 to 10 years ago, they started saying, well, that's one day, one shot to take that test. And so
Yeah.
they came back and said, that maybe you didn't achieve the score you wanted to. And so, I know there are a lot of parents that carry their students on different days and other times to try to improve that score because
It's
you know,
money.
it is dollar bills
It's
for
money.
that's what it is. It's scholarship driven. It's college admission driven, and sometimes, I run across so many families that say, we didn't think we were going to college, and then all of a sudden, our senior year, we've decided yes, we are going to go, and so that trying to hurry up and get your score in and get a score so that you can get ready and make those college applications. Sometimes I don't want to ever say it's too late, but sometimes you get behind the class that's getting in, and maybe early admission or regular admission. You might get denied. You might have to go to a different level of college or university because of that. But the state of Tennessee came back and said, let's give a retake opportunity for all seniors. And so during your senior year, you said today at Greenbrier, it's going to be that retake day.
I think
and
Springfield,
Springfield
too. Yeah, I think so. I think it's across the district.
So
I'm
they
not
have
sure.
those retake days where they can come back and again try to improve your score that you've done. And I understand some of that frustration because there are some people that already think they have their path lined out, and so
Right.
this is what I'm going to do. Or I guess in case of ACT, maybe they don't think they need it for college admission, don't think they need it for anything. So why are we taking that test? But again, the state requires that we give that, and that's one of the pieces of accountability for our
Okay.
school district is, what is our average score for our ACTs?
Mhm.
And so it is out there. And so, I can understand a student's frustration if they truly have other plans and know they're not going to school. But we still, I think that's one of those values that we try to instill in people as well. That sometimes we do things because it's the right thing to do. Sometimes we do things because somebody else requires us to do it. And, it's not wrong to question those things, but let's go and give our best effort at that.
Yeah.
I may not want to do this, and I think that goes back to the work skills that you
Oh,
talked
yeah.
about earlier.
Yeah.
There are things that I'm sure you don't like to do at work every day.
There
There are
you
things
go.
that I don't like to do at work every day, but I know it's the right thing to do, and I know those are
Mhm.
things I need to do. And I think that's one of those things that we can help students understand those things as well as, you may think you're not going to college now. You may think, you may think you have your perfect job lined up and your life all outlined and something, and then maybe 2 or 3 years later, you want to go back to college. And so, okay, you've already got an ACT score banked, and you can use that at that point in time. So, it is. I understand. If I were a senior and 18 years old, and didn't think I needed it or
Yeah,
whatever, or but for those students that I think earning a 26 is really like bigger scholarship money.
Yes, it is.
You get that 24, 25.
Across
you
that
get
30
some money.
threshold. Woo.
Right. You get
Yeah.
the 26, then you're shooting
Yeah.
for the 28s and 30s. And so, somebody that has a 28 or 29, here's one more chance
And
to
you
try
can
to get that up.
it makes a lot of difference.
Right. And the state pays for that for her students. And so to
Yeah.
be able to take that test for them, it's, I realize, that again, students that maybe don't think they know that, but, I think it just helps us keep our doors open too, because, to think you might, I know there are a lot of students that even enter college thinking they want to major in one thing and then get there and change their major.
I did.
Yeah, I did too. And
Yeah.
so, just having that difference and having those options out there, and
Mhm.
rather than becoming a senior, and it's like, oh, I didn't prepare
Yeah.
myself for that. The end of their senior year.
Very good. And we're just the same as out of time, but that question, the purpose and goals of Robertson County School System, what would you say?
Well, our mission statement right now is to help students prepare themselves to succeed in life.
Hmm.
And I think that maybe goes back to that question you asked about ACT scores. What success looks like for me may be different from my next door neighbor or somebody I sit next to in class today. I don't think there was ever a choice that I was going to go to college.
Yeah.
My mom and dad had prepared and instilled that for me, both
Same
of them
here.
being
Yeah.
educators. So there was no doubt about me going to college. But my success was in going and getting a college degree and earning that and getting to work. But success for somebody else, you mentioned a musician. I mean, to be able to find the success and being able to develop those skills in their desired field. Somebody who's working in the CTE field, they find their success in doing that. In athletics. I mean, our
Yeah.
schools are so broad now to help a student be successful, get that basic education, but then to be able to help develop them into doing the things that are needed for life. And again, that changes. And I think that's one of the challenges of education is you mentioned just the technology changing. It's hard for us to keep up. It's hard for us to imagine. I remember somebody I used to work with used to tell me, the jobs that students will have when they graduate school, we don't even know the names of those jobs.
Yeah.
And so thinking about what people are going to be doing and how people are going to be doing those things. And I was reading an article yesterday about artificial intelligence and things like that. We didn't even know what that was.
Fascinating.
And so now, training people to use those tools and training people to use the things that they have. So, to me, the real purpose is helping people be successful in life and helping them find that way to success and encouraging them by giving them that broad level, the Englishes, the sciences, the social studies that they need for that foundational skills, but then to help them specialize as they grow older, junior level, senior level, starting to develop those interests and helping them find that exploration that they need because, knowing the types of jobs that are out there.
I love it. Very well said. I think that put it in you expressed it very well. So anything else as we wrap up? We're a couple of minutes over, but I think we're okay. Anything?
We're okay. I just, always thankful for you and thankful for the support we have from the community.
Well, thank you for coming in and always making it a priority, and we appreciate you guys. Thank you for being a part of, again, One Street Over. I've all this stuff with the doctors. I have a doctor's appointment tomorrow morning, so Lee Marie is going to fill in for me. But,